Hey guys, welcome to the first edition of the revamped Sports Hub. I am your host, Connor O'Gara, joined by Nathan Hart. Nathan just joined us from Indianapolis, and Nathan is going to be providing the Hub with some great sports coverage this fall. Nathan is new to our team, but like me, he's a fellow Hoosier. We dress a little bit alike, in case you can't tell. I swear we didn't plan this. We like picnics, we like doing stuff like that, whatever, but we don't do them together, we do them separately. Nathan, how are you enjoying Kearney so far?
It's good. I'm ready for some fall sports.
Yeah, you can say that again. Well, let's get right into it. We got high school football coming up this week, fall sports. It's about time, seriously. High school football, it feels good to finally say that. We got 10 games in the Hub territory this weekend. We got Husker football kicking off the season on Saturday, and we got some other sports that have already started. Softball got underway last Thursday, and they actually will be They're the ones that are going to be playing probably more regularly than all these other teams. So we'll just get right into it. First off, Nathan, Kearney High, a team that obviously is losing a lot of talent that it had last year, losing a lot of their star-studded offense in Luke McNitt, losing guys like Caleb Lundgren. Tell us a little bit about what Kearney High's got coming back.
Yeah, the biggest question for Kearney High football this year is who are these guys? Who's going to be playing? They returned 2 starters from offense and defense last year, and a lot of the heavy hitters on offense are all gone. As you said, Luke McNitt, the dual-threat quarterback, he's now at UNK. Hunter King at wide receiver, their leading rusher, Caleb Lundgren, all gone, and they're replaced with a bunch of new guys. So at quarterback, the big question is who's going to play. It's going to be either Peyton Pocock or Jacob White, both juniors. They may share duties for a little bit. They're both good athletes, not maybe at McNitt's level just yet, but we'll see one of those two guys. Running back, they're going to be shared duties there with Tyler Gillen and Matt Kester. But wide receiver is one position that's just a big question mark. Coach Brandon Kuhl is looking for players to step up and be able to catch the ball. Big question mark, which JV guys are going to be able to settle into that position. Defensively is where the 2 returning starters really are going to be asked to take a big role. You've got Jake Cooley on the defensive end and then Justin Liveringhouse at linebacker. Both those guys also play some offense, but particularly on defense, those guys are going to be asked to be the senior leaders of the team. Cooley, the real outspoken team captain type guy. Liveringhouse, the quiet, lead by example guy. But those 2 guys will kind of be the anchors, especially on defense. Coach Kuhl is pretty comfortable with his line, but there are also questions, just like a wide receiver offensively in the secondary. Lots of questions. He doesn't know who is going to be filling those roles. So their first game this week against Lincoln Pius X, not so much about who they're playing and scouting report and everything, but just who are these guys? And that'll be the big question this Friday is when they travel to Lincoln, just who's going to be playing well, who's going to kind of set the mark in the first week. So that's the big thing with Kearney High football.
And it's very tough to rebuild in Class A. Kearney High is in a position right now where it does have a lot of those question marks, and they might not get answers to those questions until maybe week 5, week 6. So we'll see how that unfolds. Our only game in the Hub territory with 2 Hub territory teams going this week is going to be the Franklin and Arapahoe game. Franklin will travel to Arapahoe. Last year, not so good for Franklin. Franklin lost 48-13 in the season opener to Arapahoe. And, these 2 teams have a little bit in common. They both lost to eventual D1 state champion, Elgin Public, Pope John. But the difference between those 2 teams is that, Franklin lost in the first round of the playoffs and Arapahoe lost in the semifinals. Arapahoe's a team that really lost a lot on offense. This is a team that relied heavily on guys like Gage Schutz. They lost Wyatt Anderson. They lost Isaac Watson. This is a team that is going to have a lot to rebuild. But the nice thing about Arapahoe and what they got coming back, Caden Waverka, a guy that is a 3-year starter. This will be his 3rd year under the helm for Arapahoe, is a guy that just pounds the ball. Scored 28 touchdowns last year on the ground. That was second in the Hub territory to only Luke Glenn, who scored 36. They returned a couple all-district linemen in Tyler Kipp and Logan Warner. And you know what? This is a team that really is capable of making that next step. Maybe not to the point that they did last year, but this is a team that returns a lot of offensive firepower in Waverka alone. So it's going to be on him to be able to develop that offense and not make sure that this team takes a step back, because he's definitely got big aspirations in his senior year. Franklin loses Colin Marks at quarterback. Colin Marks is a guy that ran the offense for them. Really was the fuel behind an offense that scored 39 points a game last year. Franklin, a team that was 5-4, a little bit up and down, but is a team that is going to look to emerge behind sophomore running back Levi Jester. Will they be able to regain some of that offensive firepower will be the big question. It'll be an interesting one, and I'm sure Franklin's hoping it doesn't have the same result as last year, because that was definitely one of their ugliest losses of last season. Some of the other area games that we got going, we got Scottsbluff at Lexington, Holdridge at Gearing, Ansley Litchfield at Burwell, Overton at SMC, Wilcox Hildreth at Red Cloud, we got Elwood at Medicine Valley, South Loop at Anselmo Myrna, and then we got Kennesaw at Pleasanton. So there are a lot of games to get to, not necessarily a lot of games hosted by Hub Territory teams, but it's just good to finally say, hey, let's get back to football.
Yeah, let's bring on some fall sports. I'm headed to Scottsbluff at Lexington. It'll be exciting. First taste of Nebraska high school football.
Yeah, we're both going to be getting that first taste. So, we're both a little bit more used to the Indiana prep scene, the Illinois prep scene. So it's going to be exciting for us to kind of get out there and just get back into it. Players talk about getting the pads on and wanting to get dirty. Yeah, we want to do the same exact thing. So, and after that Friday night game, we got some fun Saturday. We will be traveling to Lincoln on Saturday for the Husker opener. They will take on Wyoming, a Husker team that really has a lot to prove this season. Everybody wants to know, can they win that big game? Can they make that big step? Is this the year to do it with senior quarterback Taylor Martinez, a fifth-year guy? Can he lead this team to the promised land and get this team to a BCS game? I think that's the big question surrounding this team. And the big question going into this weekend is really, how is this defense going to fare? Everybody wants to look at those two final games of the season. You lose a blowout like that in the Big Ten championship to Wisconsin, and then you lose an ugly game, not necessarily the most lopsided game in the world, but a game where really Georgia controlled the tempo and beat the Huskers 45-31 in the Capital One Bowl. Everybody wants to know, what is this defense going to do, because they don't have a lot returning on it. They only return really 33% of their tackling. That's something that really can't be understated enough. Who is going to be that guy that can make tackles, make defensive stops for him? Because you can't have a defensive back as your leading returning tackler. It just doesn't work like that. So really, this team has a lot to prove defensively under defensive coordinator John Papuchis. The question surrounding this team, and really what a lot of fans want to know, is, can this defense take them to that next level? You have one returning defensive lineman and a starting defensive lineman in Thad Randall. Can David Santos step up? Can Aaron Curry step up? Can Jason Ankra step up? These are guys that are going to be in increased roles that you don't know if they're necessarily ready for it, but they're going to be given these opportunities to make plays. And I think that's really what Papuchis wants to see, is, can these guys make plays? That's what you look for in an opener. This opener is very important for the Black Shirts to be able to not only get some confidence for themselves, but get confidence as a unit, because defensive confidence is something that is gained over the course of a season. So yes, they might, Huskers might end up putting up 60 points in this one, but the real question lies with, what is this defense going to do? Are they going to really make a statement in that opening week? It's going to be interesting to see. It's a wide open Big Ten this year. Can they really get past what has always been their biggest hurdle, and that is the big game? We got Huskers coming up. We got other sports that are going on right now. We don't want to overlook other sports. We got cross country going on right now. When does their season start? Their season's coming up soon, isn't it? Their
season starts the 1st of September. Cross country, they have a couple weeks before first meets. The big question for cross country this year, I guess the big thing, is that the girls are moving from a 4K to a 5K distance. For a lot of the elite athletes, that's a big step. And a positive step. Nebraska is one of the last states in the country to move from that distance. So it'll just be an interesting adjustment on the girls' side to see how well they transition from a 4K to a 5K. You've got top runners like Gabby Gracia, who she said she's excited about this move, and especially when you compete at a more national level or go on to college, it'll be an easier transition. Some coaches are a little worried about participation levels and kind of scaring off maybe some younger, newer runners, but that'll be the big question mark with golf or cross country this year. Golf, they don't run quite as much.
No, they don't. And then we got girls volleyball. Big question surrounding girls volleyball. Kearney Catholic 33-0 last year's state championship. What's this team going to be able to do without all of its 6-footers? You lose Bailey Sokolowski, you lose Theron Baum, you lose Megan Anderson. What is this team going to be able to do? I didn't even mention Michaela Messel. This is a team that is going to look to rely on a lot of its younger talent. You have Morgan Stute coming back. You have Shayla Connor coming back. Whitney Colling. What is Chris Connor going to be able to do with this team to replace some of that talent? Because this is a team that lost 3 games last year. They're not used to being behind in games. they need to learn how to, obviously, to not only play from behind, but to be able to win from behind. So that's a huge question surrounding this team, because it's definitely not going to be as easy when you don't have a bevy of 6-footers on your front line. So a lot of interesting things to see in volleyball. And then we got girls golf coming up too.
Yeah, and then with golf, actually the season started already, and Kearney High has their invitational this week. But Kearney High had their first meet last week. Freshman Madeline Murray posted the low score for the Bearcats. She's expected to do well, probably be the number one golfer for the team this year. Both Kearney High and Kearney Catholic are younger teams looking to improve throughout the season. And I think both coaches have some question marks, just who will step up and will they be able to develop some consistency from match to match, and we'll see that, and maybe Madeline Murray, the freshman, will star for the Bearcats this year.
That seems to be a common theme among fall sports. You look at it, question marks. Everybody's going to have question marks. One of the question marks we're not going to have is Holdridge's Walker Hohenze and Jared Carlson. These two won state last year at number one doubles in Class B. These are two guys that are looking to repeat. Simple as that. Their goal is to get back to the state championship, win a state title. These guys have been in state 3 straight years, and they have finished no worse than 3rd place in state. That's pretty incredible for a group of kids that really didn't come in as those highly touted guys, but just had developed a rapport playing together. So they're definitely going to look to lead Ray Rubeled's team possibly to that next level in state. They're a team that would love to have a top 5 finish, and in order for them to have a top 5 finish, it's going to start with those two possibly defending their state championship. And then let's see, we got softball. Softball already started. I was so excited for softball last week to get that kicked off. Kearney High and Lexington kicked that off last Thursday, and really the story of that game was all about Mo Vornhagen. Mo Vornhagen, is a freshman lefty pitcher for Kearney High that threw a complete game and got the victory for the Bearcats, and is somebody that is really going to be relied on for her entire high school career to pitch big innings. And it's going to be interesting to see how she develops, and if they can really get something out of Julia Bauer, a girl that is also going to be relied on to pitch a lot for Natalie Madsen's squad. So Kearney High, not necessarily a team that is looking to really necessarily compete for a state title in Class A or anything like that, but has young pieces that it wants to develop, is going to be getting true freshmen out there to pretty much pitch the majority of their games. I'd be surprised to see anything other than that, just based on kind of what Natalie Madsen has already said. So fall sports, there you have it. We're excited to be back into it. Next week we're going to have Loper stuff for you. We're going to have some more Kearney Catholic football stuff. We're going to talk some Cozad football. Going to talk about Jake Paulson. Man, we're going to be a week into it. We're going to already know the results of the Husker games. We're going to this is fun. It's finally back. It's finally we're back into it.
Exciting time for sports in Nebraska.
It really is. So in case I haven't said before, pick up a copy of our fall sports preview section. That's going to be out on Thursday. Definitely going to want to get a piece of that. For myself, I'm Connor O'Gara, Nathan Hart. Follow us on Twitter, by the way, CJ O'Gara, NM Hart, Hub Sports Buck, Hub Sports _Buck. Follow us on Twitter. Pick up a paper. Do what you can. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.